So, you want to know how to use Mergent Online? Mergent Online is one of the databases that NU Library subscribes to. It provides financial data and other information on companies, as well as information about specific industries and specific countries and regions. To get there, we'll start at the library homepage, library.niagara.edu. From there, we'll click on Databases A to Z, and this will open in a new tab. From here, we can click on the letter M to jump right to the databases that begin with that letter, and then click on Mergent Online. If you're using Mergent or any other library database from off-campus, you'll be asked to log in with your Purple Pass username and password. In this video, we'll look at 3 different types of data you can get from Mergent. There's company information, country information, and industry information. To find company information, I'll just start by doing a search for the company I'm interested in, for example, Target. Some results start coming up as I type, so I don't even need to hit the go button. Just make sure to take a look at what comes up because companies can often have very similar names. I'll click on that first result, Target Corp. On the company page here, I recognize the familiar bullseye logo, so I know that I have the right company and not just something with a similar name. So we have a menu of different tabs with the information I can look at. By default, it starts on the first tab, Company Details. Below the tab is another menu listing all the different types of company details I can get. Again, by default, we're on the first item, Synopsis. It's a little hard to see, but the word Synopsis is slightly darker than the rest of the menu links. So we have the basics here, a summary of the company, a list of executives, recent financial data. Let's explore a few of the other menu items. Under History, we get a chronological list of events in the company's history, like when it was founded and when it merged with or acquired other companies. Under Business, we get the different codes that describe what type of industry Target falls under. For NAICS, the North American Industry Classification System, Target doesn't have a code. Its SIC, or Standard Industrial Classification, is 5331 variety stores. It also falls under 5311 department stores. And for ICB, the Industry Classification Benchmark, its code is 40 for industry, which is the most general category. Then getting more and more specific, it also has codes for its supersector, sector, and subsector. Let's go to another tab and look at executives. Remember, on the company details page, it listed some executives, but only 5 of them, so we can find the rest here. By default, it starts on officers. And here we can see each of the officers' full name, age, and their salary. Then there are also pages for directors and for committees and their members. Now let's take a look at company financials. Again, we saw some financial data on the company's details page, but we'll find a lot more here. So we have a balance sheet which shows what a company owns, its assets, and what it owes, liabilities. I can change the type of report by clicking this drop-down menu and then clicking the refresh button. So I'll select Income Statement, which is what shows total revenues and expenditures. We can also look at cash flow, which shows how the cash in the company is generated and expended. All of these reports are displaying annual data, but we could change that by switching to quarterly data and then clicking refresh. Another tab has annual reports from the company, so these are official documents that are written and published by the company. And here's News, which has recent articles about the company from newspapers, magazines, and journals. Under Company Reports, we have documents that are created specifically by Mergent, the database. In many cases, the reports use the same data that we just looked at under the different tabs, but here it's organized into a format that's easy to download and print. For example, here's a summary report, which includes a description and some price performance data. But you can also create your own report to get exactly the data you want. So I'll click on Report Builder, This starts on the Custom Reports page, where I could select from various pieces of data to combine into a report. But I'll click on Comparison Reports. From here, I can compare my selected company, in this case Target, to the industry as a whole, or I can compare it to other companies. So I'll click on Compare Company Against Custom Group. Right now I don't have a group, so I need to select another company or companies that I want to make my comparison with. I'll go to Change Company at the top right and type in the name of another company, for example, Walmart. Now on the main Walmart page, notice next to the name there's a plus sign, which I can click to add it to the company analysis list. Now I just hit the back button to go back to Target. Now Walmart is available as an option of a company to compare to. So I'll click on the name and then the right arrow, and that adds it to the report. Under Report Item Selection, I can choose the items of data that I want for the report. I'll expand Financials by clicking the plus sign, and I'll choose Cash Flow from Operations. Again, click the right arrow, and I'll also choose Net Income. Highlight that and click the right arrow. Now I'll collapse the Financials category and click the plus sign to expand Ratios. From here I'll choose Net Profit Margin. Now I have my two companies and 3 report items to compare them on. Now to create the report, I just choose the format. The HTML report will load like a web page. The Microsoft Word format will load as a Word doc. The Microsoft Excel format will be a spreadsheet. And then finally I have the PDF format, which is the easiest to save and print. So I'll choose that. And here's my report. It starts with some general data about Target because that was the main company that I started with. And then here it shows the 2 companies I selected, Target and Walmart, along with the 3 pieces of data that I wanted to compare them with. So if you select more companies and more items of data, you would have a larger chart here. So you can really customize the report to whatever companies and whatever data you want to include. Now let's look at country information. To get back to the main page of the database, I'll click on Search and then the Country Insight tab. Here we can search by date range, which is the date that the reports were published. So let's say I only want reports from the year 2020. So I'll choose January 1st as the start date and December 31st of that year as the end date. Then I can choose different types of reports. In the subscription that NU Library has, we can get Mergent company profiles, which are reports created by the makers of the Mergent database, and we can also get D&B country risk profiles, which are created by the company Dun & Bradstreet. I'll select both. Now to select the region. I could just put a check mark next to, say, Asia Pacific, and I'll get reports related to any country or region in that area. Or I can get more specific and only select certain countries. So I'll uncheck this and click the plus sign to expand the options. From here I'll select Cambodia, Malaysia, and Singapore. Now that I've chosen all my options, I'll click Search. So in the results I see that each of those countries has a D&B country risk profile. So I'll just choose one of those. And it comes up as a PDF. Now this includes a lot of information such as a forecast of the country's economy, a list of prices of different goods, and descriptions of the political environment. Now we'll look at industry information, and I can get there by clicking the Industry Analysis tab. We start on a page called Comparisons, and this shows data for many different industries. To look at one specific industry, I'll click on Characteristics. And on the Characteristics page, it defaults to showing performance data here in blue. Now here I can choose an industry based on its ICB, or Industry Classification Benchmark. Industry is more general, and Supersector is more specific. I'll go with Supersector and select Food, Beverage, and Tobacco. So now I can see performance data such as price growth on a weekly basis, over this whole supersector in general. And this is covering the last 5 years, but I could change the chart to show the last 10 years. And scrolling down, I can also see price growth for particular companies within this supersector. But instead of performance, I'll look at profitability. And again, I can choose the date range of the chart, whether 5 years or 10 years or something else. And scrolling down, I can see the profitability for specific companies. But instead of the characteristics of an industry, let's say I want to report on that industry. So I'll click on the Reports tab. And again, I can choose between industry, the more broad general categories, or supersector, which is a little more specific. And I'll choose supersector and again go with food, beverage, and tobacco. And this comes up as a PDF. Now this shows all the data available on this supersector from those various tabs and menu items. But here they're collected in a single document, so that makes it easier to save or print. Now you know how to use Mergent online. If you still have questions, feel free to contact NU Library for assistance.